Whew. All right, guys, we're gonna poke the bear today. Prepare yourself. The conversation around Dylan Mulvaney is not new, probably to most of you. If you're familiar with my channel or if you are just on the internet at all, you've probably heard about the controversy, Bud Light. There's a lot to cover, so I might have to break this up into a few different videos, forgive me. But in case you are unfamiliar with who Dylan is, she is a transgender woman, and yes, I've already managed to piss off and alienate a large group of people by using she, and I will continue to use feminine pronouns, just a warning in case anyone's literal head explodes. A lot of people dislike Dylan, a lot of people love Dylan. It is very split, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of people in the middle, which is a common theme in a lot of these controversial topics. People who are more moderate are afraid to speak up. And right now we're at a time where transgender ideology is being heavily debated. People are really all over the place on this topic, and there seems to be a lot of confusion. Sometimes there's just gray area when we talk about things like gender affirming care. Well, there's a spectrum of what that could actually mean. So to say yes or no against something that has just so many different implications, when people say, do you support gender affirming care? You can't really give a yes or no answer, at least for some people. And that's okay, but it's still important to have a conversation. Why does this happen? Why are people told it's too controversial, or why are people too afraid to even bring these things up? Well, because if you have any opposition, any pushback, even questions, you could be called anti-trans, transphobic, bigoted. But if you feel the opposite way, the other side will attack you, saying that you're not logical, you're anti-science, you're against God, which is very interesting, the religious aspect mixed with anti-science. The irony in that is beautiful to me. Now, a lightning rod in all of this conversation is Dylan Mulvaney, and if you are unaware of who she is, she's very, very popular on TikTok, and now literally also on the news. On TikTok, Dylan has 10.8 million followers. Yeah, that's a lot. Now, I've spent a lot of time researching her and what she's about, which has led to me watching commentary video after commentary video after, and honestly, I'm really done. But here I am making one. But I will say it was hard to spend that much time watching all those videos. But it is just too damn much information to fit in one video. I swear I would be here for hours if I tried to cover everything. So this video is gonna specifically be on the Dylan Mulvaney hate train, because good Lord, are people mad, like to an insane degree.
Dylan Mulvaney is not a she. He is a pervert. A perversion of what it means to be a man. He belongs in a circus act.
You do not pass as an attractive woman or as a woman at all. You are weird and artificial. You are manufactured and lifeless. You are unearthly and eerie.
A freak, a perversion, and something that no person should be supporting in this society.
You'll never be accepted as a woman by anyone, never by anyone. But everyone who looks at you will see something pitiable and bizarre, something utterly unfeminine in every way.
Transgenderism. It is worse than Jim Crow laws.
Whew, really bad. Like, these people need to have a drink, they need to take a chill pill, maybe they need to just relax and go to adamandeve.com, you know what I'm saying? Speaking of which, this video is sponsored by Adam and Eve. If you go to adamandeve.com and use my name as a code at checkout, JACLYN, you will get 50% off any one item and free shipping, which is an amazing deal. They sent me a box of really cool stuff that I unboxed in my other channel, so I will leave a link to that below. Click on it and see all the cool things they sent me, and yeah, check out Adam and Eve, because this is a stressful video and you're gonna need to relax. Take a chill pill, chill your ass. Massive chill. You know, I've hardly ever seen people be this cruel to another human being. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think certain opinions in criticism of Dylan could be valid, or you know, maybe the criticisms are valid, but the way in which they're presented, the ad hominems, the just brutal attacks, I feel makes them lose credibility. It's very hard to listen to people when they're just sitting there saying, well, you're ugly, so therefore you're wrong. The three main topics that I feel need to be focused on in regards to Dylan Mulvaney are the massive amount of people that feel Dylan is mocking women. Cisgendered women seem to be upset, which is interesting because most of the people that I see upset about this are men. I digress. There are a lot of cis women out there too that are apparently mad, but I've just seen the majority of that commentary from other men, which is interesting. They think because Dylan Mulvaney is just so animated that there is a mockery going on of what it means to be a woman. If you don't know, Dylan's done a series on TikTok called Days of Womanhood, where she documented day 1 through 365 and beyond of transitioning into a woman. So because of the animated nature of these videos, people feel like it's stereotyping women, and there's a lot of people with their panties in a bunch about that. So that should be its own video where I go through and watch all of those, react to those, and give my understanding of that situation. I'm a cisgender woman and I don't personally feel attacked. Like, it's okay. I'm fine. Some of it's actually funny, in my opinion. You see a lot of cisgendered women making stereotypical videos about what it is to be a girl, like, oh my God, shopping, or whenever people ask me if I'm okay, I say I'm fine when I'm not. Like, it's a thing, right? Like, we all make this joke, but for some reason, because Dylan is trans, it's somehow excruciatingly offensive to a lot of people. I don't particularly feel that way, but I am going too far into this. I'll save it for the next video. Leave your comments and thoughts below if you have feelings about this. The second thing that I also will not be going into in this video in depth is the whole gender affirming care. That is so nuanced, and there are so many different things to talk about in that I am going to save it for an entire video where I can solely focus on that and go into depth, because that is something that deserves attention. So if these people that were attacking Dylan had an issue with that, with a political stance, I would be able to respect and understand if they could present it in an educational way that wasn't like, oh, and by the way, you're ugly and gross. Like, to me, you should focus on the issue. Ad hominems really just weaken your argument. It just does. And it makes you seem like a nasty person. Ugly on the inside, you know? The most recent controversy around Dylan is the whole Bud Light situation. Now, what happened was when Dylan reached 365 days, there was a sponsorship from Bud Light. You know, good old Americans who love their Bud Light beer that tastes like piss really were upset. Pissed! Oh, the disappointment that I have in myself for saying upset instead of pissed right there. Giant fail. Everyone leave a comment and tell me what a failure I am for missing that joke. I'm so disappointed. Beer that tastes like piss really were upset. So this is the can. It says cheers to 365 days of being a girl or something like that. And it's got Dylan's face on it. Just to make it very clear, because it seems like there's some confusion. This is not something that was commercially sold ever, right? This was a very specific thing made for Dylan, sent to Dylan, so that she could open it on camera and be like, look what I was sent. Sponsored, you know, the thing that influencers do, the thing that companies do to people that have millions of followers so that they can promote their stuff. And this is not new. Like, people were upset that I think Nike sponsored Dylan. People were upset that I don't think Dylan accepted the sponsorship, but I think Tampax reached out for a brand deal thing. Obviously, like I said, it wasn't accepted. But you do still see conservative commentators being like, well, why would Tampax? Why wouldn't they? If there's a lot of people following Dylan that have the need for tampons, then they're getting advertised to. It's simple. I have personally, in my past, been sponsored by companies that are geared towards men. I think I did a Manscaped sponsorship one time. Like, do I need that kind of stuff? No, I'm not a man, but do I have a very heavily male audience, or did I at least at the time? I think it's switched now. Yes, so that makes sense. And what baffles me is that the people who are all pissed off about this type of thing are other people who are in social media. It's not like I'm bitching about the people who leave comments about this type of thing. Maybe there's a lack of understanding, right? But if you are someone who's like another YouTuber and you regularly get sponsors, you understand how advertising works, right? Am I going crazy? Anyway, here's the Bud Light commercial.
Hi. Impressive carrying skills, right? I got some Bud Lights for us. So, I kept hearing about this thing called March Madness, and I thought we were all just having a hectic month, but it turns out it has something to do with sports. And I'm not sure exactly which sport, but either way, it's a cause to celebrate. This month, I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it. Check out my Instagram story to see how you can enjoy March Madness with Bud Light and maybe win some money too. Love ya! Cheers! Go team! Whatever team you love, I love too. Okay.
So there were a lot of people that were upset saying, even this clip in and of itself is appropriating women because Dylan's acting like women don't know about sports or like sports or whatever. Sure, there's tons of women that love sports and know all about sports, like my mom and my sister. They're both hugely into sports. I am not. I'm gonna say this, and feel free to make fun of me heavily in the comments. I would not have been able to accurately answer what March Madness is either. And I often do make jokes about like go team or yay sports. Like Philip DeFranco had a shirt that was like sports and he's a guy. So what does that say? Is he appropriating men that don't know about sport? Like sometimes people just don't know about sports. This has nothing to do with appropriating women. Like chill your ass. Have an ass of chill. There was also this video of Dylan in the bathtub, you know, bubble bath, yay, a bunch of Bud Light. You know, I have to say I am also offended by this video because, girl, if I'm chilling in the bathtub, I have wine. I'm not drinking Bud Light pee, okay? That's very offensive to people who like wine. I'm triggered. I feel like I'm being misrepresented because women do not drink Bud Light in bathtubs. So, you know what? I should just end this video here because I'm so angry. Yeah, and sure I can joke about this all day long, but the backlash is pretty intense. So let's just start playing some of these clips and buckle yourself in and grab a drink. Preferably not Bud Light, and I'll get to why I actually am like annoyed at them. It's just so much, there's so much.
All right, so there's a lot of people talking about the new trans spokesperson for Bud Light beer, Dylan Mulvaney.
First of all, a simple brand sponsorship does not make you an official spokesperson. I think we're exaggerating here on purpose to make a point. I don't appreciate that.
Apparently to celebrate Dylan's 365th day as a woman, they've put Dylan's face on the can. Yeah, you know Dylan, the woman.
Yes, her face is on a can that they sent to her only. It is not for sale.
Hey Bud Light, my mom's been a woman for 23,725 days. And you didn't put her face on a can.
Yeah, but does she have 10.8 million followers that she can advertise Bud Light to?
Rosa Parks ain't on a can. Mother Teresa ain't on a can. Joan of Arc ain't on a can. Mother Mary ain't on a can. And she gave birth to Jesus.
You know what? That's actually freaking funny. I would buy alcohol with like a Jesus on it. That's funny. You know, it's like holy water combined. He turned water into wine. Why isn't that already a thing? There should be Jesus. There should be Jesus on beer cans. Ah, Jacqueline, fail. There should be Jesus on wine bottles. I want holy wine. Someone start selling it. I will buy it.
Anyway, if you're one of the people boycotting Bud Light for partnering with Dylan, I'd like to congratulate you on joining the rest of the world who's been boycotting Bud Light ever since we discovered it's literally the most disgusting tasting beer known to man.
I mean, that's an argument against Bud Light that I can respect. If you don't want to drink it because you don't like it, then that's fine. If you weren't already drinking it, then why do you care so much also? It's not like they're coming after a beloved drink that you can't have it anymore because you just can't support their ethics and now you have to make some major sacrifice by giving up Bud Light. You clearly don't like it, so just...
Seriously. If you're one of the folks who's mad that the official spokesperson for Bud Light is now a trans person, take a look in the mirror. You're drinking light beer. You're halfway there yourself.
Who's mad about stereotypes again? Which political party? I forget. Again, not an official spokesperson. You know, they sponsor a lot of people. But let's move on to my favorite, Kid Rock. Now, I personally already didn't like Kid Rock. I haven't for a long time because a lot of the weird politics. Also, I live in Nashville. I know a lot of people very well in the music scene, people that have worked with Kid Rock, and he's been like literally thrown out of venues because he shows up so intoxicated and he's like cursing everybody out. He's just very disrespectful to the crew and everyone working there and has to be like asked to leave. So I already feel like a type of way about Kid Rock, but regardless, this is being passed around like it's some brilliant piece of art. So we're gonna have to cover it now.
Grandpa's feeling a little frisky today. Let me say something to all you and be as clear.
What does that say? Kid Rock first annual fish fry. Wearing your own merch, real cool, dude.
And concise as possible. Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch. Have a terrific day.
Wow, you really told them all that beer that you shot up that was still very much paid for. This is totally asinine, totally ridiculous behavior. Like, this is not making any sort of great point. You know, this isn't a strong argument. This is not a respectable, well-researched and thought out and presented position. Like, You're making an ass of yourself. But yet, you know, because certain conservatives agree with not liking Bud Light, they're going to applaud this like it's the most brilliant thing they've ever seen, which to me is sad.
Let's start with some actual men, some real modern day heroes who are taking a stance when they see something as abhorrent as Dylan Mulvaney. Kid Rock did not just take a strong stance, he made an incredible video.
So yeah, celebrities are mad about this, even members of Congress. GOP Representative Dan Crenshaw of Texas called the ad stupid and said he would throw every single can of Bud Light out of his fridge. Good for you, dude. Crazy that this is getting that much attention, but you do you, bro. But earlier on when I said I wasn't a fan of Bud Light, well, this is why. So they came out and did not stick to their guns, which I would have respected more if they had done that. They issued an apology that said, "We never intended to be part of a discussion that divides people." And then after that, Alyssa, who's the Bud Light marketing vice president, was put on a mandatory leave of absence. Shortly following was Daniel. This was not voluntary. So Bud Light, to me, this is ridiculous. Like, these people have advertised way more than anyone else could have possibly advertised for Bud Light. So these two people got the boot, and now Bud Light is putting out some, like, super patriotic commercial to try to, like, backtrack or something, or appeal to all these, like, rednecks out there shooting up their beer, like, all right, well, here's a horse and this is America, buy our beer. Really pathetic, Bud Light. I'm disappointed in the weakness that this response was. But the hate train doesn't stop there. Actually, that's pretty mild compared to what we're gonna get into. The insults thrown at Dylan blow my mind. Like I said, if you had specific issues with gender-affirming treatment for youth, you could present those arguments in a way that aren't just completely degrading a specific person, right? You should attack an issue that you're passionate about, not a specific person. To me, that's where you kind of lose me.
I am a gentle soul at heart, I think. And also I do feel pity, or I can feel pity for some of these people. And so I wouldn't usually say what I'm about to say, at least not as directly as I'm going to say it, but Dylan Mulvaney is intentionally degrading women every time he does this woman face minstrel show routine.
So first of all, minstrel show, if you guys don't know what this is like back in the 19th century where white actors would portray black people by literally doing blackface. So they're comparing Dylan Mulvaney to this.
Woman face minstrel show routine is insulting and demeaning them and doing it on purpose and profiting off of it, and he doesn't care. And since I have 2 daughters and a wife, I take this kind of thing personally, which is why I have to say to Dylan, if that is the most attractive you will ever look, then I don't even want to imagine what you'll look like when you're at your ugliest.
Jesus Christ. Like, okay, so this is in response to a TikTok she posted where she felt like she looked really pretty. I have to agree, I think she looks really pretty. Sue me. And that's what this guy has to say. Like, if you truly are so offended that Dylan being Dylan, and that being Dylan's personality, you think that that's appropriating women, that's fine. Like I said, I'll do a whole video on that. But if it's so getting to you at your core, then attack that as the issue. Why feel the need to say, like, oh, you're so ugly, ew. Like, if that's the best you look, I don't want to see you on your worst day, you ugly bitch. If that's how you defend your family, man, I would be embarrassed if I were them. I would be. That's not an example I would want to set for my kids. Hey, honey, you don't agree with this person? Call them ugly. Yeah, a few more insults. Tell them they're fat. Good job.
You do not pass as an attractive woman or as a woman at all. Even with 50 pounds of makeup and plastic surgery and clever lighting tricks, even then you still cannot escape what you really are and what you will always be. You have successfully shed whatever parts of you were masculine, perhaps, at least on the surface. Nobody would ever describe you as masculine or manly, so you've got that going. But your femininity quotient has not increased at a rate commensurate with the loss of your masculinity. You may not be masculine, but you also aren't feminine. Instead, you are weird and artificial. You are manufactured and lifeless. You are unearthly and eerie.
Yeah, honey, say that they're weird. Throw some rocks, call them weird. Unearthly and eerie. Yeah, super, super gross. Call them icky.
Like some kind of human deep fake. That's what you are. You are a man deprived of all the best qualities of men, but without any of the best qualities of women. Even your personality is contrived. Everything about you is fake. Nothing about you rings true. Nobody buys the act. You'll never be accepted as a woman by anyone. Never by anyone. Even the people who pretend to accept you as a woman are only pretending because they're afraid of being lectured if they don't.
So this approach really pisses me off because I feel like it's a strong form of gaslighting. He's trying to make Dylan feel like any support they've ever gotten is just because people are afraid of what might happen if they don't give that support. And not one person is coming from a genuine place with a full heart that actually truly has acceptance.
You'll never be accepted as a woman by anyone, never by anyone.
Anything that's ever made you feel good about yourself, it's all a lie. How manipulative and cruel to try to convince someone of that, to take that from them. That's really just not okay in my book.
But everyone who looks at you will see something pitiable and bizarre, something utterly unfeminine in every way. You will never be able to actually have the identity that you're trying to appropriate, nor will you ever be able to fully escape the identity that you're fleeing. The best you can hope for is some kind of limbo, the worst of all worlds. And yet, even in that limbo state, you will still be a man. Just not one that any of us can respect or take seriously. But other than that, champ, you're doing great.
What a condescending ass. Sorry. Well, I hate to break it to you, Matt Walsh, but right now you're a man that I absolutely do not respect. Next, we're going on to Candace Owens, which this is, let's just do it.
Brings me to the greatest civil rights violation of our time, which is taking place right now, and that is transgenderism. And I'm going to make a very strong statement right now, and I mean it. It is worse than Jim Crow laws.
Hold on, I just need a second to process. And the attitude, she's just so full of vitriol, it's worse.
Worse.
It's like the eye squint for me, right? It's worse.
Worse.
She reminds me of one of those mean girls at school where she's like, and you're ugly. And then comparing it to Jim Crow? What? Oh man. What do you even say about something that insane? How do you?
Because we are mutilating the bodies of children. How could you not see that as something worse? If you segregated white people versus black people, you wouldn't be harming children, and we are doing that.
I'm sorry, are there not black children? Did segregation and all the horrible things that came along with Jim Crow and racism and I don't even want to think. I mean, come on. You think that kids were just, oh, well, it's a child. Guys, don't say anything mean. Don't segregate. Don't force this child to do anything they don't want to do because it's a child. And the whole mutilating bodies thing, I'll save that for my next video on gender affirming care. Let's just save it.
Dylan Mulvaney is not a she. He is a pervert. A perversion of what it means to be a man. He belongs in a circus act.
Now, this is similar to what Matt Walsh said earlier about the mockery of women or whatever. This is because Dylan Mulvaney has a very outgoing personality, and I'll save this for the video where people criticize the TikToks and all the content about being a woman. But that is the reason that she is giving for her opinion.
Love ya. Oh. Did you see that? I gotta get out of here.
Oh, do you see that? He's screaming because a bug came by. He's dropped onto the ground because that's what it is. Girls, when we see a bug, we frolic and then we scream onto the ground. And then we flip our bangs because you just go, oh my gosh, did you see that? I've never been outside.
Okay, I understand some of the criticism on the behavior. I do want to save most of this for the other video that I'm going to make. I think if it were a cis woman who was outside and got scared by a bug, ain't nobody would be saying that this is bad, but it's because it's Dylan. You know what I mean? Personally, I'm terrified of bugs. I'm pretty good with all of them except for roaches. I will jump and scream and act like that, not far from it. If I see a roach, that is accurate. I have a phobia. It's pretty intense. I see that video. I'm like, yeah, I get it. It's I went was I women don't do that and I'm offended. Do I get pissed off when I see other women doing this is how women are at Target? No, it doesn't piss me off. My heart's not broken. I'm okay. We're okay. Isn't this coming from the party of conservatives that are oh, you liberal snowflakes are offended at everything, and yet here we are. Here we are. Again.
So there he is, I guess, putting on his best Richard Simmons performance and thinking that this is supposed to be funny. Dancing and skipping with his hair in a high ponytail, because that's, I guess, what women do.
I mean, I do wear my hair in a high ponytail sometimes. Is that bad?
Is that funny to anybody that just watched that? Is that cute to anybody that just watched that?
I mean, yeah, it probably is funny to a lot of people that just watched it. I'm understanding that, Candace doesn't think it's very funny, but Dylan is someone with 10.8 million followers, you know? They're following for a reason. They think the videos are funny. Sorry to break it to you, but the answer is yeah, some people do.
Is that womanly to any person that just watched that? Or does that look to you to be what it is? A freak, a perversion, and something that no person should be supporting in this society.
What the fuck? Like, why this like super strong stance? This is a video of someone dancing around in a workout outfit or whatever that they got sponsored by. Yes, this is how sponsorships work, right? People who watch the person that they follow see them wearing something or drinking something or promoting something, and then they want the thing. Okay, that's how it works. And if you're watching Dylan's content, it's probably because you like Dylan. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of haters out there now, but if you're a fan and you watch this content, yes, first of all, you think it's funny. And second of all, hey, you might go out and buy the product now. That's just how advertising works. And when you have 10.8 million people, it's gonna work on some of them. It's really not that big of a deal, Candace. You can really chill your ass on this one. But instead she's like, this is the problem with our society. We have a person who's dancing and oh my God, the inhumanity. Look at this freak. What is it with these insults? You know, Dylan's getting called a freak, a weirdo, unearthly, all these things. It's like, this is like mean kids on a playground. I swear to God, like grow up.
That every single person should be speaking out against. If you actually care about women, if you deem yourself to be a feminist, even if you don't deem yourself to be a feminist, if you deem yourself to be a moral individual, how do you not speak out against the fact that this man wearing woman face is now taking the spots of women?
Wait, what? How?
Why couldn't Nike have offered that position to a mother who maybe is a single mom, has 5 kids, works multiple jobs? Why couldn't we see that person modeling?
I mean, I'm sure that there have been. That's not how sponsorship, like they can sponsor who, I mean, this is Nike, right? They have a lot of money. They probably promote themselves via a lot of different channels, using a lot of different influencers or whatever you want to call people who have a large following. Like somebody decided, hey, let's increase our sales. And it's probably not just Dylan that they reached out to. They probably reached out to a bunch of different people. How do these other people in social media, other YouTubers, like I said, how do they not understand how marketing and advertising works? It's not like Nike was told, you're only allowed to sponsor one person and no one else gets the opportunity. They're sponsoring lots and lots of people, and I'm sure some of them are a single mom, Candace, okay? A spot's not getting taken from a working mom. I mean, if the working mom has more followers than Dylan, then she probably would get it. So the next person I'm gonna mention briefly here is Brett Cooper from the comment section. Again, another Daily Wire, like the Daily Wire crew is just like on it with this. And she's talking about the Dylan, like the big show that Dylan did, the 365 days of being a girl or whatever celebration. And she's reacting to it because there was mention of her. But there's a segment in it where Dylan's like talking about how, you know, she doesn't want to lose her relationship with God and that God didn't make a mistake. And it's actually really sad because I feel like a lot of people who are gay or trans or, you know, even losing their faith might go through this phase of feeling really rejected by a culture and an ideology that they were raised with. It's actually very traumatic and difficult for people. And the way that it was handled really like got under my skin a little bit. So we're going to talk about it, but I will say overall, this girl is not nearly as bad as Candace Owens or Matt Walsh. Like not, I mean, I've actually seen shreds of empathy from her, so I'm not trying to hate too hard, but this one clip that I saw, like I said, it got under my skin, so we're gonna breeze through it real quick.
I'm trying really hard to maintain a relationship with God, and I don't think that he made a mistake with me.
But I do feel for Dylan here. He comes from a very, very Christian family. If you do any research about his family, they are very, very religious. Obviously, he's grappling with his childhood. He's grappling with knowing that something's not right. It's like you're almost there. You admitted you're not a woman and you fantasize about being one. You're trying to get there. You're talking about God. There is something that's wrong. He's not just happy because now he's living as a woman. He's still struggling with things. We don't want him to be unhappy. We want him to find his true self, which is the Dylan that he was born as. It would be great if he had a relationship with God and if he went back and mended the relationships with his family that obviously want the best for him and care for him and have empathy because they see that he is struggling.
Ugh, okay, so there's a lot to unpack in this for me. Bringing someone's family into the equation, especially if they're having struggles with their family because the family is not accepting. Bringing Dylan's family into this, I feel like, is a low blow. It's like a low move. There's also the assumption that once someone transitions, that all their dysphoria is gone and that all their struggles should just melt away, because if you, well, you identify as a woman now, you should be happy and fine, right? Everything is fixed. That, to me, is a very like shallow understanding of the struggle people go through, but it makes sense that some of these commentators wouldn't really have genuine empathy. Not even empathy, just sympathy, right? And if your understanding really is someone transitions and then poof, they're happy and great and everything is just automatically fixed, well, you really don't. You're demonstrating very clearly that you don't have a good understanding. And then saying it'd be so great if there was a relationship with God, and it'd be so great if there was a mending of the relationship with the family who probably rejected Dylan and made her feel terrible. I mean, I'm just assuming, right? But if we're gonna talk about the family, which, like I said, I don't personally feel comfortable doing, but since it was already brought up, I feel the need to defend that a lot of people that I personally know that have these struggles with their family, it's a very deep-seated issue. It's difficult to talk about and it's difficult to go through. So for someone to sit there on their high horse and say, well, you should be closer to God and you should be closer with all these family members who may or may not have said something very hurtful, that just really gets under my skin. And I've seen so many people hurt so deeply over these things that to just throw that kind of judgment out there, that sort of superiority, pissed me off, to say the least. The religion thing, I'm not gonna try to hate on it too much, right? But I keep seeing this thread, this common theme in all these conservatives where they're, judging Dylan, for example, or anyone who's trans, and saying, well, you're not a real woman. How could you just believe that you're a woman? No matter how much you believe it, it's not going to be true. But then they're clutching their Bibles at the same time, and it just drives me nuts. Just again, I have to throw that out there. Really bothers me. Hypocrisy everywhere. It's everywhere. And if we're still talking about the hate that Dylan receives, this is something that I saw on Instagram. Just a silly little video that's like, who is your mother? And the answer was Dylan Mulvaney, and it was like a funny thing. Maybe you don't think it was funny. I don't give a shit, but here are the comments. Except you can never be a mother. You are not a real woman. Go get help. Still at day 0 of being a woman, let alone a man, just stating the obvious. My mother was a biological woman. Who was yours? What is wrong with people? You can disagree with someone and make your point on the topic, but Jesus Christ, to go after someone this hard? Fuck. So I'm gonna wrap my commentary on the Dylan Mulvaney hate train. It's just insanity to me. It seems like a bandwagon that people are just real happy to jump on right now. It's getting people a lot of attention. It's like popular to hate Dylan. So with that, I will say lead with your heart and vote with your mind. This is something that we're gonna have to really be aware of moving forward in the future. A lot of legislation happening around trans rights right now. 4 months into this year's legislative sessions, more bills targeting LGBTQ rights, particularly transgender rights, have been introduced and become law than any other time in US history, more than 120 to date. These laws are set to take effect within the next few months and are among at least 29 bills targeting transgender rights that have become law in 14 states so far this year, which is already surpassing last year's record of 20 such bills that became law in 12 states already. I would look into this legislation and really vote, look at what's going on in your state and take action, be a part of it. I've made a lot of videos on Tennessee and what's going on in Tennessee right now. I'm very vocal about trans rights, about the drag ban. There's a lot of craziness going on in my state, but check out what's going on in yours too and make sure to vote. So I will leave you with this. Comment below and let me know your opinions, because my following videos, like I said, will be on gender affirming care. There are bans on transition care for young people that are going on in the US right now. The laws ban or significantly limit the use of puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and transition surgery for people under 18. I know this is extremely controversial, and like I spoke at the beginning of this video, there is a lot of gray area. Some people might be in favor of part of this and not all of it, so leave a comment. Let me know if you would like where you stand, and just participate in the conversation. I mean, here's a map that sort of shows what's going on. There's total bans, partial bans. Some places have blocked the bans. Please feel free to leave your comments. I'll go through them before making my next video. Also, I will be making a video on all the people who think Dylan is appropriating women. So if you would like, tweet me videos of Dylan doing just exactly that if you have a problem with it, or if you'd like, on the other side, I've actually already built up quite the list, but if you see videos of women, joking about stereotypical things women do, send those my way too. Maybe you guys will stumble across a gem that I'll use too, and I'll credit you. So anything you tweet at me or send to me, just make sure you're okay with me screenshotting it and using it in a video. Okay. And like I said, if this video has you stressed out, please check out Adam and Eve. They're amazing. Unboxing linked below. And I'm gonna go, and I drank all this, so I'm gonna pour myself another glass of wine, and I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, bye.